2 months today, Wales will be playing their first game at a World Cup for 58 years. Gareth Bale says that while thoughts are moving towards Qatar, the squad is still determined to avoid relegation from League 8 in the Nations League.
It's getting closer, it definitely is building, but it still doesn't feel like we can fully concentrate on it. Yeah, obviously it's in the back of your mind, which obviously it's going to be, but no, we have 2 games now that we need to focus on. We need to keep improving as a team, to be ready as much as we can for the first game. And I'm sure when it comes around, everyone will be buzzing to go. Everyone knows we prioritised the Ukraine game, and we didn't play probably the first 2 or 3 games with anywhere near our full strength team. No disrespect to the other players that played, but like you said, we probably played a little bit with our hands tied behind our back, but next 2 games we're going to try and do as best we can to win the games, to stay in Group A, in League A, and that's all we can focus on now is doing what we can in the next 2 games, and that'll prepare us well going into the World Cup as well.
Well, good Wales call on actor Michael Sheen to be part of the travelling party. He delivered an inspiring speech for the Wales players on a league of their own earlier this month. So what did the players make of it?
It was in our WhatsApp group. Everyone sent it in. About 100 people sent it to me. So, no, it was a fantastic speech. Very moving. And like I think the gaffer said, he's more than welcome to come and give us a speech at any time. But I'm sure we're going to be motivated enough come the first game anyway.
Well, Gareth Bale and Wales are training ahead of tomorrow's Nations League game against Belgium. Let's go live to our senior reporter, Geraint Hughes, who is there with the squad in the sunshine once again. That's 2 days in a row, Geraint. This is great. You spoke to Gareth Bale earlier. Such a key player for Wales. I guess the big question is, how is his fitness ahead of this game?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, listen, somebody's brought the sunshine with them, because I'm topping up whatever tan I had. It's absolutely glorious here in Hensol, just down the outskirts of Cardiff. Let's take you into the Wales training this morning. There's a little bit of, I think, Rob, absolutely 100%, a little bit of a spring in the step. Excuse the pun with the sun out, but Gareth Bale, arriving from Los Angeles yesterday, but also arriving Los Angeles as if he hadn't suffered sort of any jet lag or 10.5 hours. Immediately sort of going to see the young players, Luke Harris from Fulham and Jordan James from Birmingham, both teenagers, 17 and 18-year-olds who've been called up to the squad. He went to see them in the canteen and welcomed them into the squad as well. There's a real sort of little buzz about the camp, which was, I think, probably missing a little bit yesterday, but definitely there today. Now, in terms of his fitness, how much have we talked about that over the last few years? With his lack of game time at Real Madrid, he comes into Wales, he's severely undercooked. He's not even discussing that he's been playing 90 minutes at Real Madrid. It's whether he's managed to get 9 seconds on the pitch. But in terms of his fitness, he says this is probably the best he's felt in a number of years. He's on sort of a schedule now. Listen, he's a very fit individual anyway. He looks after himself, but also with working with LAFC, where he's building himself back up. He's really building the body up. So, as anyone will notice, he's not really played in 90 minutes. He's been sort of coming on around the 60-minute mark, playing 20, 30 minutes, building that fitness up, obviously with training around it. But he says it's the best he has felt in a really, really long time, and with the ultimate aim now of being absolutely spot on, building up now between now and November for the World Cup, where he's able to do 60, 70, then 90 minutes, but then there's no stress on the body. He just seemed happy. He's clearly content, Rob, as well, that his family are settled in Los Angeles and enjoying life out there as well. And he said this phrase as well, Rob, athletes are able to have a life outside of football as well. Probably a pointed mark to sort of, a degree of anonymity and being left alone a bit as well there. So, we've got a very, very happy Gareth Bale here, which means there's a bunch of very, very happy campers here at the Wales camp as well.
You mentioned those younger players, Geraint. Wales without a number of key players for these 2 games. So how big an opportunity could this be for some of those?
Listen, it could be massive as well, and Wales are almost preempted, especially with Jordan James and Luke Harris, the 2 names, both potentially eligible for England as well. I think in the case of Jordan James, really sort of getting in ahead of England. They've played underage groups of both Wales and England, getting them into the senior squad there, so that England can't get their hands on them. But basically, I think that's sort of the feeling that there's real potential with this Wales squad now, with what they've achieved achieved over the last 10 or so years, that sort of growth, that journey they've been on to get to the Euros in 2016, 2020, now the World Cup later this year, is that Wales are sort of no longer sort of waiting sort of 64 years between major tournaments. It becomes a regular thing, and that means about that pool of players, that base of players, and they're looking at that young base of players now where there's talent, potential and youth as well. Wales, Rob Page, he's the man in charge. He will not be at all shy in giving these players minutes on the pitch, but what he wants to do is get that blend right. He's a little bit hamstrung on the games against Belgium at Poland. He's missing some real key senior players. Aaron Ramsey, Ben Davies and Joe Allen are all missing. Their injuries are not serious, but it means they are going to miss this camp. But it also means is that probably these younger players are going to get a bit of a run out, and maybe the importance of Bale here. Yes, he's going to be jet lagged a bit, and yes, he's had a long journey, and yes, he was only playing for LAFC in the early hours of Monday morning, but I will expect him to play some part tomorrow night's game now, to be alongside some of the other senior players there as well who are at this camp to help those young players as well. So I don't think Rob Page will be at all frightened of blooding those players now against Belgium and Poland over the next few days.
And this is obviously Rob Page's first game since getting the manager's job on a permanent basis. How much praise does he deserve for the job he's done under what has been difficult circumstances?
Yeah, let's address that issue. It was difficult circumstances. There's no hiding behind it. Ryan Giggs was stepped down, mutually agreed with the FAW. In 2020 to step down from the job. Rob Page came in. It was during the COVID pandemic as well. There were no crowds in, the restrictions around. He was kind of almost working on a camp-to-camp basis. Far from ideal. But he's managed to galvanise the players. He's got a real sense of sort of that club team spirit and family. Family is much the used buzzword around the Wales camp with Rob Page. Every player I've spoken to, yesterday I interviewed Chris Mepham and Joe Roden, but I bumped into a couple of players just sort of in the corridors around the team hotel, and everyone to a man has just said, wow, it's brilliant Pagey's been. They all call him Pagey, or gaffer or boss or any other iteration of the word manager, but they're so pleased for him, and it's not forced. I'm not really having to ask any of them. They're just saying it's brilliant, it's so well deserved. They really respect him, they really like him. He engenders this family spirit, but I think as well there's an edge to Rob Page as well, where they don't want to cross the line. They don't want to annoy him because he's not going to be their friend all the time. He'll read the riot act when he needs to. So he's, on the face of it, got this balance right of real respect, and the players absolutely love him, and that's what they're going to need, because Wales will need players sort of proverbially standing in front of that red bus when they're playing for Wales and not let anyone pass. They're going to need to do that at the World Cup, and they've got a manager that they respect, and I think it's probably not too shy a word to say that they adore him as well, and really made up that he's got this first game. Just briefly, Rob, just asking Rob Page about how he feels. He just says nothing different at all. He's been doing the job for the best part of 2 years. He feels nothing different now he's got this four-year contract. His focus is clear. These 2 games on the Nations League, the last 2 games he's got now with the squad in competitive games before the World Cup, and then, of course, the World Cup. As far as him, it's business as usual, and he wants the success to continue.
OK, Darren, thank you very much indeed. Well, let's hear from the Wales manager, Rob Page, shall we? He says he's been impressed with Gareth Bale's attitude since joining up with the team. His first Wales camp since joining LAFC, a move Page thinks has worked wonders for his talisman forward.
Yeah, look, it's oozing out of him, isn't it? So you can see it's been the right move for him and his family, absolutely. Whether it's the lifestyle, it's the training, you saw the welcome he got from the players who wouldn't want to go into training every day. We talk about this environment, but it seems like he's got that in the changing room there in LA. So from a lifestyle, the family are happy. He's got his family with him, and he seems like he's enjoying his football. Albeit, again, he's not playing 90 minutes. But I think he knew that realistically he wasn't going to go over there and play week in, week out. And we've had him on camp before, and he's been great for us and won us games without playing any minutes at club level. So any minutes that we get out of him, right now, is a bonus, So I'm pleased, and it's the best outcome for me.
Gareth Bale is playing for Wales for the first time since joining LAFC in July. He says he's feeling fitter and happier after moving to MLS from Real Madrid, and revealed there's a training program to be ready for the playoffs in LA and the World Cup.
The plan is just to be 100% fit, obviously, to help LAFC first and foremost, and then ultimately that will lead into me being 100% for the first and the World Cup. So yeah, it goes part and part. My focus obviously now is the next 2 Wales games, but then it'll be straight back on the games for LA, and
sort of
yeah, I think I'll be
around
a
many
lot
people
fit. I
I
haven't
know
played
that
90
can try and
minutes
help.
yet,
I
which
asked
is
Rob
what we're
Page, the
building
manager,
up
yesterday, because he's bound to
getting the
have
training
some
load in and everything
influence,
like that.
if not
So
say, on
any
where
player will
Gareth
tell you
Bale
in
goes.
terms of
Where
you can
would
be as fit
his
as you want,
preferred
training
option
and
be?
doing your running and everything, but playing games is being match fit, and I'm definitely feeling a lot more sharper, a lot more better on the pitch. So I think just for me personally, I think just playing games now is good for me, is where I need to be, especially leading into the World Cup. And yeah, I'm feeling good, I'm feeling sharp, and yeah, just need to kind of maintain that level now